Hey there, welcome to Blueprint Digital, where we discuss industry trends, challenges, and opportunities in the construction space. Today, we are joined by Lee Thomas, founder and CEO of Construction Check. Welcome to Blueprint Digital, Lee.
Hey, thanks for having me, Troy.
So, this week kicks off bowl season. I know you're an avid Bulldogs fan. I'm an avid Indiana Hoosiers fan. So, what's your estimation of who's going to win the college football playoffs and be crowned national champion?
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. All right, go Dogs. Well, maybe we'll see you in that game. We'll see what happens.
You know,
Looking at your website and gathering some information, $1.6 trillion in capital is wasted on major projects annually. Over 90% of projects are over budget or delayed, and nearly 70% of the owners have high levels of distrust. Every project needs capital and a budget, but you share with me that not many people know that estimating is an industry. I find that shocking.
well, I tell everybody all the time is like this industry has done a terrible job of talking about the value proposition that it brings to the construction industry. And so most people just think that general contractors are the people that provide cost estimate, but it's a whole little industry out here, and it's the market is very fragmented. But if you step outside of the United States, it's a lot, more clearer in terms of the industry. They're called quantity surveyors, which is a lot different than the US. But in terms of the US market, it just has done it. The industry itself has not done a very good job of highlighting the value proposition that they bring to the table to owners.
How do you position your company against your competition out there? What makes you different?
Well, what made PCS different, so let me give you a little history here. We started PCS as a professional services firm. So what made PCS a little bit different in terms of what we were doing was it's in the process and it's in the understanding and it's the experience that we brought to the table, right? When you're looking at a construction cost estimate, we tell people what we're giving you is a very good blueprint of what it should cost, right? Because when you think about construction, two things happen. One, it has to be designed first, and the owner needs to have a realistic expectation of where the general contractor is going to charge him. And he has to cross that bridge between design and contracting. And so what made us special was that we understood the bridge for the owner that he's got to cross to get to the general contractors. What made us unique, we have to think like a general contractor, right? And so a lot of our estimators, not only are they, electrical, mechanical, and they have engineering degrees, they actually work for general contractors. So when we're putting projects together, we're thinking like a general contractor. He's got to think how he's got to put this work in place versus just looking at a set of drawings and then estimating what's on the drawings. We have to think what's not in the drawings and account for that. So that's what made us, super special to our customers and why they choose us.
What does a day in the life look like for Lee?
That's a good question, man. Between being responsive to our customers and the projects that are coming in to then trying to develop a technology company that's never been done before. So when you look at taking the professional services and say, okay, now how do we digitize this to a internet experience and then wrap in machine learning and AI to incorporate all of that into a platform that customers can use, our customers, service customers can use. You're juggling multiple hats, and it's a fun time, but it's very stressful at the same time.
I've been involved in projects, capital projects for most of my career, and they're always either on the low side because you didn't factor in something you should have, or someone comes in and just pads it to make sure they don't come in over budget. So
Yeah,
how do you dial in an accurate estimate?
I was just reading a an article, this morning, an abstract, by one of my good friends, KP Reddick, and then I thought about what it is that he said in this, articles that you know construction projects are temporary projects. They temporary. And so when we're looking at a cost estimate, it is a temporary exercise. We're going to come together as a group, architects, engineers, designers, construction people, and we're going to stay together for a few moments of time while we're all engaged in this one project. And so we're learning at the same time. But then that project goes away. We're finished. Project goes away, and all of the knowledge and everything that was taking place during the execution of that cost estimate, you know, stays in people's heads, right? And so what we're doing now is to capture all of that knowledge into a data lake where it can be leveraged in the future so that we can get better predictions of cost estimates. And one of the things that we're doing to really be able to do that is to work on predictive analytics. Now, we've done that with a partnership with Georgia Tech in their master's programs of analytics, where we're really focused in on how do we get better estimates? How do we get owners better estimates coming out of the gate? But not only that, how do we take other estimates that are done, and this is Construction Tech platform. How do we take other estimates that are done and be able to review those estimates and make sure that they are market aligned with the expectation of where the construction costs are going to be? So, for example, if somebody gives me a cost estimate and says, "Hey, here's a cost estimate. We're building this school over on the north side of Atlanta, and the general contractor, here's our cost estimate." Well, we want to be able to use, machine learning and AI to be able to review that cost estimate and make sure it aligns to the marketplace, right? Because here's where the general contractors are at. And so we're using machine learning and AI to really get better about how do we produce better cost estimates. Because to your point, somebody's high, somebody's low, these guys are in the middle. How do we really gauge that? And it all comes around information. It comes around the data and how much of it do you actually have in your database to be able to predict cost. And so that's how we're looking at it, and that's how we're addressing the future of cost estimating.
You talk about data, you're talking my language. I'm a data-driven guy. How is the volatility of tariffs impacting your accuracy of estimating?
Well, the thing is, one of the things that we started to do when tariffs started coming in place. At first, we weren't accounting for it, but then we started to say, "Hey, we need to address this in our cost estimates going forward." So we started to address it by putting in a line item specifically so owners could see the impact of the tariffs that were coming in. But then we took it a step further and we started using machine learning to some of the things that we're doing with it is to anticipate market movements like that. So if we know there's a tariff coming or different things that's impacting the uh, the environment in terms of the built construction industry, financials, or on different commodities, how do we factor that in a lot quicker? Use the technology and what we can do. And what we see is that technology moves a lot faster. So if you're using it on a regular basis, it's going to give you a lot more information and things like tariffs that when they do show up, we capture them very quickly now.
You've mentioned AI a few times, machine learning, your data lake. AI is quickly becoming the most discussed innovation. People talking about how it's going to shape the future of everything. What influence has AI had inside your business specifically, outside of machine learning and the data lake?
Well, just in terms of specifically in our business, just from an efficiency factor, right? It's like we're engaged by customers. Customers usually send us an email, a Dropbox link, and things like that. And it's like we have data scattered all over the place, right? And so we needed to get out of that. So from an efficiency standpoint, our goal was to streamline that data ingestion so we could standardize it, coming in for us to set us up for machine learning going forward. And so, from just an efficiency standpoint, the things that we can do with it now are a lot quicker. Just like from an estimator getting ready to turn in a deliverable for an estimate to a project, it's like, how do we use machine learning to do the manual QA/QC process without the project manager and his manual process having to do that? How do we take all of those steps and everything that he was doing and incorporate it into our business so we can make that review process a lot faster on our internal side? So it's things like that from an efficiency standpoint that we've been able to build in, to the platform that makes it a whole lot easier for us to manage our business, manage our customers, and then be able to organize this data in a way that feeds cost intelligence. And that's really, Troy, what we're trying to get to is really be a place where customers we offer cost intelligence versus, just hey, we do cost estimate.
Are you seeing your competition use these same types of tools, or do you feel like you're blazing a trail here?
Well, from what I know right now, I haven't seen our competition, blaze a tool. What I've seen in the marketplace is a lot of um, software being created around, delivering a construction cost estimate, but it's really more from a general contractor standpoint. And I have to emphasize, we actually work on the owner side before a project actually becomes a real project, right? The owner is trying to think about, does this project fit my ROI? And so we're up in that area. So a lot of our competitors, we don't see in the same track as us, and we're just really focused in on what we do and what we do well. We focus on three areas: cost estimating, scheduling, and advisory services around the built environment. And we don't go out of those lanes where a lot of our competitors, they do a whole lot more of the stuff, construction management and this and program management, and cost is a little piece of it. And I tell people like this, it's very hard to, when you think about this cost estimating alone as a service, you have to have a lot of it in order to just make it a standalone service by itself. But a lot of our competitors that we see haven't really gone down this route of that we know of, building something like we built with Construction Tech. And Construction Tech for us is a whole entirely separate company that was built to create an ecosystem for not only us, but for a lot of our friends that are in the industry. Because the thing about our competitors, Troy, is this, is that we team up to go after projects together, right? So we can compete against on this project, but we want to team up and go after this project because it's large enough where we could share that. But the whole goal with the platform that we built is to pool that knowledge base together because we're struggling in this industry and you see it all the time is like labor shortages in the construction industry. And then when you talk about cost estimating, it really is one of those industries that nobody knows about, right? So at the end of the day, how do you get young college kids interested in the industry that they don't even, think about? So with all those things combined, we hope that, our competitors, will work with us and we work together collectively to address, the bigger challenges in our industry.
The Federal Reserve recently cut the overnight borrowing rate another 25 basis points, so it's now a full point lower than it was late last year, early this year. What does the pace of new projects look like for you? Are you seeing a trend in the industry up or down or flat?
No, the pace of new projects has been incredible, especially around you talk about data centers and things like that. In Atlanta, where we're based out of, headquartered out of, there's a lot of cranes, in Atlanta. And there's a lot of infrastructure projects that as we all see in the country are actually needed. So the pace of projects is, steady. And you think about, our business in particular, and like I said, we're focused in on just cost estimating. Our business started in the Great Recession, you know, 2009, 2008 period when we had the Great Recession. And one thing about that was that project, we use construction to jumpstart the economy, right? By trying to get these infrastructure projects, going. So you think about a business that started inside of a recession, type of atmosphere. This business is actually a little bit, I won't say bulletproof, but it's resilient because people still need to do projects. And so what we're trying to do again is become a cost intelligence platform where it's like we know the talent is not there, but if we have a platform that is collectively gathering that knowledge, then things that are happening in the economy, whether they're speeding up or slowing down, we would have cost intelligence that actually could help us understand what project costs are going to be early on to address that $1.6 trillion annual problem that we got.
It's a big problem every year, a lot of waste.
Yeah.
When you think about the typical project cycle, are banks and owners reaching out to you, or are you trying to chase down projects and opportunities?
Well, we've been fortunate. I think the first few years, you're chasing down, projects that one of the things that, we're focused in on going forward as we really get the platform really up and running is to be able to see how do we service the banking industry. Uh, banks take on a lot of risk when they are funding these projects. Owners take on a lot of risk when they're funding these projects. And so our goal with a platform like Construction Check is to get it in front of owners get it in front of institutions that actually have risk. And instead of chasing down projects, allow them to have a platform where they could go to centrally to be able to get cost intelligence or to be able to say, hey, we're getting ready to fund this $300 million development. We need a, check of the information or a review of this construction project to see does it align and where's our risk identification areas. So in terms of chasing projects from a professional services standpoint, in terms of company, yeah, you do your normal business development and all the other good stuff, and get out and get on teams because a lot of the projects we work on are coming from governments or local, state, county, municipalities. When you're talking about the private owners, like let's say like a Microsoft or AWS that are doing data centers, that's a little bit different, chasing those type of projects. So our work generally centers around quasi-government type of contracts.
Okay. Interesting. Are you seeing innovation in the industry? When you talk to the owners, you look at these projects, or people are trying to do more with less every single day. Are you seeing some productivity enhancers out there?
Well, the I was talking to somebody about this recently, and so everybody's trying to develop software. McKinsey did a report a few years ago that said the next big applications or innovation that was coming was not going to be around software. It was going to be around software that delivers a service, right? And so while everybody's jumped in the bowl and saying, "Oh, construction is this big industry; it's got all these problems, and we're gonna need to get rid of you. We can let the computers take over." But I keep saying the same thing. If you buy a new piece of software, what do you need to run the software? You need a person to run the software. So you're never going to get out of the business of people, right? And even when we talk about cost estimating, we're saying our software augments our professionals. Now, does it do things that junior estimators can do and do it really fast and consistently? Yes. Are we ever going to send out a cost estimate without a person involved in that cost estimate? No, never will happen. Because even though I keep saying people like, man, if you run on the internet and you try to tell AI to generate you a cost estimate and you think that's going to be accurate, well, where's the drawings at? AI doesn't understand what's happening in the field like an experienced estimator is going to, understand. And that's why it augments the profession versus trying to replace people. So I tell people all the time, it's like, man, we got to be careful when we say that, hey, we're going to replace people. I think we're going to help augment the job and make it faster, more consistent. But we're not going to be ever in an environment where we rely on AI 100%, especially not in cost estimate.
Yeah, AI is coming and it's coming fast, and it's amazing some of the things it can do and do well. But it's also very early on in the process, and the things it can't do well or
Yeah.
replicate, there's a lot of room for improvement. 100%. I deal with this every single day. So you're right. I mean, we need efficiencies, right? And we can leverage technology, we can leverage AI, but you're going to need a human being behind the scenes that's touching the work.
Yes. AI is never going to show up at a client meeting and be able to go to the client meeting. And it's never going to show up on a construction site and understand that. And I tell people all the time, it's like, this is, again, when we talk about construction projects, they are temporary one-time items, right? And so when you're building the Taj Mahal for the first time, or you're building a building in Dubai for the first time, or you're building this new advanced school in America for the first time, these are one-time projects that are going to just happen that one time. And then we're going to go on and do something else, right? So that team that came together to do that project, that whole knowledge base is now going to be dispersed and it's going to go to another project. We're working on a project here in Atlanta, which is the Five Points, transformation station, where you're taking a concrete roof off of the facility, right? To make this open air complex. How many times do you do that? You do it once.
Right.
So when you think about, innovation and AI, there's no consistency when architects are, artists. They are visually creating something for the first time. So AI is going to help us, but we really need to know how it helps us. And that's where the expertise marries the technology, not the technology marries the expertise, right? I think that's the biggest difference because I see a lot of out here and they're scraping data from the internet, and it's like that data has no context to it. You know, just a number that said, okay, this project got bid at this amount of money, and here's a little bit of information that you can glean from that. Has no context to it.
Yeah, it's a great way to think about it. So each episode, we like to ask our guests their biggest challenge or struggle facing their business and what they love to solve, the proverbial magic wand. So what's your challenge you'd like to solve?
When you're talking about some building technology, the challenge that I would love to solve, like every other technology founder, is the the resource uh challenge. It's like how do you grow and scale something that can get into the hands of more people a lot faster, but then take your time and being able to do that. I mean, our biggest challenge is just trying to get it right, and make sure that we deliver value to our customer without trying to rush something to the marketplace. And so we've taken our time to really understand the problem. But we know the problem because we actually live it every day in the professional services company, but understanding that problem. So my biggest challenge and my biggest headache is just really just trying to make sure that we are building something that we really understand and that our customers understand.
Yeah, no, good point. So give us your 30-second elevator pitch on your business.
We're the people that don't have a dog in the fight. If you wanted to know how much your project really costs, you need to talk to us first. Now, our goal is to make sure that we make sure you understand the risk before you actually go try to build something. And that then addresses the whole challenge of, I hate my general contractor. No, you don't. The general contractor is a very good resource. And when you think about the things that these guys build in this country and you see the structures, we have very good contractors. What we don't have is very good information that we can give to owners before they try to engage a general contractor. So our goal is to help you mitigate that risk by making sure you really understand how much it costs.
Fantastic. Hey, Lee, it was great having you on Blueprint Digital. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'd like to say thank you so much to all those out there watching, listening. Until next time, I'm Troy Mann with Ascent Integration Partners. Remember, the pace of change in the market is getting faster every day. Adapting to change is not a requirement, but neither is survival. Rise above with Ascent Integration Partners. Thanks so much.